Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Silver Screen Show. I'm your host, Labruski, and my co-host, as always, is Aiden. Aiden, how are you? Hope everything is good.
I'm good. I'm
Um,
good.
Good.
I'm good. How are
I
you?
know I'm good. I'm hanging in there.
Yeah.
I know last time we spoke, you were talking about getting a puppy. So how's
Yeah.
that been?
Oh man, that's I haven't gotten sleep in 3 days, but you
It's like
know,
having a kid, I imagine.
it is, and it makes me definitely want to think hard about having a kid. Because like
I
2 days
yeah.
in, I was getting so like just like I can't. He's really like the cutest thing in the world. So all you have to do is look at his face, and it kind of
What,
fixes things.
what type of dog is it?
A West Highland Terrier.
Okay. I don't know what that
It's
type of
like
dog looks
they're
like, but
small and white. He's downstairs, so I can't really take him out right now. But
well,
yeah,
that's
no,
all right.
he's the best though. He's the best.
Well, that's good. What did you name him?
Archie, that's his name.
Archie. That's a cool name.
Yeah. Thank you.
That's a
Thank
cool
you.
name for a dog. I like that.
There's a couple people who don't, so it's nice to get some positive feedback.
Yeah,
But
right. That's always a pleasant surprise.
yeah.
Um, cool. Well, we're gonna talk Anora today.
Yeah,
Um,
let's do that. That was quite a movie. Wow.
I really enjoyed it. But before we dive in, I guess we can quickly talk about some of the Oscar nominations. I haven't looked at all of it, but what I'm thinking, and this can be for the audience as well, is we have about 5 shows, I believe, until the show before the Oscars. It's like March
Okay.
2nd. So we could try to watch every single Best Picture nomination before then. Um,
Okay. Do you
I know
want to
some of
do
those you've
like
probably seen, but
do you want to do like the night or the show before the Oscars? Like we just kind of go over all of them briefly, or
no. So each week we review. We'll have to do like a double feature
okay,
most weeks.
I
So we'll have
got
to
what you're
talk
saying
about two
though.
movies each week. We'll just talk about two movies, and then the episode before the Oscars, we can talk about kind of which ones we want to win, and then go over some of the other categories. But leading up to that, I think there's 5 Thursdays, so
Okay,
5 shows that we can do kind of a double feature for each movie and
cool,
talk
cool.
about. And then, like I said, the Thursday right before the Oscars, that's when we can kind of wrap it up, talk about which one we like the best, which one we want to win, and then talk about some of the other categories. But we can dive into that off air, if you will. So, Nora, I don't know how much I have to say about this film, but I enjoyed it. I thought it was really good.
Yeah, I did as well. I thought it was. I mean, I knew I really am a fan of that director, and I
What's his
knew that
name?
he
Sean
was.
Baker.
Yeah, he did the Florida
Yeah.
Project and Red
Mhm.
Rocket, and I
Red
think
Rocket.
like
Yeah.
he's a really great director. So I knew it was going to be good, but it was. I thought it did a lot with very little.
Yeah. I mean, the film only takes place probably over a couple weeks, I'd imagine. So a
Yeah,
very
like
short
maybe 10
span of
days, like
time.
that. Yeah.
And it really focuses on Honora. It's very much, I would say, like a character movie, right?
Yeah, it's an aptly
Um,
named movie.
it is. It very much
Yeah.
is. So yeah, I enjoyed it. I'd give it like an 8 out of 10, to be honest with you.
Me
Like
too. I
somewhere
don't think it didn't it didn't surprise well, it did surprise me in some ways, but I don't think in a this huge way it surprised me, which is okay. But I'd give it an 8 out of 10 because it was like some of the most realistic characters I've ever seen, which I think you
yeah, I
kind
mean,
of
I think
get from all of his movies.
sure, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've seen Florida Project, I've seen Red Rocket. I like both those films. I would say like Florida Project more than Red Rocket. I think this
Yeah,
is my favorite out of the films of
really.
Sean Baker that I've seen. I'd say so. I like the actress who plays Honora. She did like an amazing job.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, no,
and
she's great.
I do like. the character of Anora as a whole too. I think it's an
Yeah.
interesting character study. And oh, we got someone in the chat. Jack Gola, what's up, dude? He's one of my buddies from. He lives down in North Carolina now. He's
Oh,
too.
my dad was
Um,
from North Carolina, so I've been around there quite a bit. Has he been to
nice,
High
nice.
Point? If he's been to High
I
Point, that would be wild.
what is it?
High Point, North Carolina.
He lives. Is that near Charlotte? He lives in Charlotte.
It's more near Durham.
Okay, so probably not then. Um, anyhow, yeah, he's a bit of a movie buff too. I tried to I did a show with him one time about movies, but I don't know. He doesn't like to be on camera a lot. He said
That's a
just
great movie.
watched A Real
That's a great
Pain
movie.
today. Yeah, I want to see that one.
Great
He
movie.
gives it 3 out of 5 stars. Jack, we're going to talk about Anora today. And I really enjoyed it. So, and I think you would too if you haven't seen it already, Jack. So definitely go watch it. You can rent it on Amazon for like $10, which is actually quite a bit, to be honest. But I think it's worth it. I really enjoyed this film, and we'll kind of dive into it here. But yeah, I would give it an 8 out of 10 overall. I do have a couple issues with it. Well, maybe really only one. And we can talk about that in a second here. But what are some of the what are your favorite aspects about this film, would you say?
I think my favorite aspect in the entire movie is the Russian guy who, like, the bald guy following them.
Igor.
Igor. Yeah, I thought he was kind of it was one of those character arcs that I think can really make a movie a movie. Is if that
Yeah.
was surprising. Like, I knew that the Oscar nominations came out today, so I knew he got nominated. But
Oh, did he?
yeah, and he gotten a lot of positive praise for
Yeah.
praise is positive, but he's gotten a lot of praise for his performance. So I was very curious as to what it was, because it didn't really show much of that character in any of the marketing. But
Right.
and
Yeah,
I thought
he
Mikey
is
Madison was like tour de
he
force.
he he was a pleasant surprise for sure. Not, I didn't go in thinking, that was going to be a bad character or anything like that, or um but yeah, I think his character was for sure a standout. And
Yeah.
like you said, kind of his arc where he does portray that character like he has some softness to him. Really right from the
Hmm.
beginning, just the way he's looking at Anora and how he reacts in the situation, um, in the scene that he's introduced. And there is this element really of like innocence to him that you kind of pick up on.
Yeah.
And so I think that actor did just a fantastic job in that role, but it does kind of, you don't really know his intentions throughout the film up until maybe like the third act area. Then you're like, okay, no,
Hmm.
this, because they do kind of tease it where maybe he is a little on edge, kind of a violent guy, like in a candy shop. You're like, that seems a little out of character from what we've seen. So the movie kind of makes you think maybe, okay, maybe he's not a great guy, maybe he is a good guy, but ultimately, spoilers by the way for this film. We won't dive into too heavy
It's been
spoilers
out
right
for a
now.
while.
Yeah,
Yeah,
uh, the movie does kind of leave you guessing as to what's
it
whether he's
ends
a good guy or
on
bad
a
guy, essentially.
it ends on a very interesting note, I thought.
Yeah,
But
no, for
what I
sure.
really liked was, like, the characters. I don't think there was a single character in that movie who I hated. There wasn't
I
a
mean,
character who I really loved outside of, like, I mean, even Anora is very much a flawed person. Like, the minute she gets this ticket, with this guy, she kind of like brags about it to everyone, and it's a human thing that she would do that. It's a human
sure,
thing that the guy who's looking for the son would be really stressed out and getting angry at everyone. It's a human thing that like Um, the mother, I thought the fact that the mother turned out to be like the real person that everyone feared instead
A
of it
little
being
bit.
the father of the son. I thought
Yeah.
that was interesting, but they all just felt like real like people. It was very interesting. I thought it was really well written on that end.
Yeah, I mean, I think the dialogue, the writing is incredible in this film. Like you said, I mean, I think
Yeah.
you hit the nail on the head there with everyone feels human, right? And I'm ultimately when you make a movie, a lot of the times you want the characters to feel human, unless it's about
Yeah.
an alien or something, you know. But even then, there's always going to be human elements to that character. But anyhow, I do kind of disagree with you where you said that you don't hate any of the characters. Like I definitely do not like some of the characters, but and that's on purpose, I think, from the screenwriters, right?
Mhm.
Like the main guy Vanya. I mean, at the end of the
Yeah,
movie, I
he's
hated that
definitely
guy.
like
I
he's
hated
hard to
the
like.
mom. I hated the dad as well. Like the core family, I did not like. Not to say they were bad characters, as in like
Mhm.
badly written, but they're definitely more in antagonists in the film later. You know, it's
Oh, yeah,
revealed.
no. No,
Um,
that's the right word. I mean, they are antagonists.
yeah,
I guess I kind of felt like with Vanya, he is really unlikable, but it's
yeah,
kind of I thought it was funny how like um childish he was at his
yeah,
age, like I found that more amusing than anything, and I was very happy to see him kind of get put in his place by the end. And
for sure.
I mean, I guess I personally thought the father was kind of interesting. He was less horrible than the mother, but
Well, he didn't. Yeah, no, he is definitely not as bad as the mom. Like he's just kind of there for the ride, almost, you
Mhm.
know, and he has to be. Um,
Yeah.
but the mom is very much kind of front and center, and but even if you do think about it, like where the mother and father are coming from with them being pissed, like they do have a lot of reason to be pissed, and that's even understandable. Like,
Yeah.
um, I mean, their son got married to a prostitute, right?
Yeah.
Um, so you know,
I mean, it's not
so
like a wrong
it's
thing to do, but you can understand the parent reacting
a
that
little
they
bit,
are.
yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Um, so even then, it's like it's understandable where they're coming from, I guess, but I just don't like the way they treat Anora,
Oh, yeah, no,
and
it's yeah.
you know, but the characters, like I mean, Anora is incredible. Annie, as she goes by in the film, the actress who plays her is incredible. You really, I'm curious as to if you picked up on this too. There is almost a bit of a parallel between Anora and like Cinderella, and there's even a line about it in there, and how this is almost like a twisted modern day Cinderella story, you know, where this
Oh, I
Prince
like that.
Charming of Vanya comes in and sweeps Nora off her feet, and then it's revealed that he's really not Prince Charming at all, like in any sense. He just puts on this facade almost of flaunting his money when in reality it's not even his money, it's his parents, and of living this certain prestigious lifestyle, and in reality he's not a
Mhm.
good human being ultimately, and there's not much depth to him as a human,
Yeah,
right?
he's a very shallow person.
Yeah, so I do like that parallel that they kind of throw in there between
Yeah, no, I definitely
Cinderella and
see that.
Nora. And I was trying to pick up on like other clues between the stories, but I couldn't really. So I think that's kind of where the line ends for that parallel. But
Okay.
I do think it is in some ways kind of a twisted modern day retelling of Cinderella in some regard.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that.
Maybe not so much a
I think it's
retelling,
good
but
that the story doesn't match every beat though of
yeah, no,
Cinderella,
it doesn't, not at all.
but I totally agree with that. I thought it was interesting because I thought it was kind of like a lot of times people can, they can get into a relationship like that and they can get really swept off their feet by the whole like image of it and
Yeah.
the kind of, the it's like this new thing they're experiencing, and it hasn't gotten old yet. And I thought that, this whole time she's like, when he runs away and they're looking after him, she's still kind of holding on to this
Yeah.
idea that they're meant for each other.
Yep.
And even when she meets the mother, she's expecting there's for some kind of relationship to be there, and then it's
Yeah.
completely dubbed by or snubbed by her just like not even looking at her. And then when she kind of gives up on that search for Vanya, when she realizes he's like a piece of shit, I don't know what her relationship with Igor really is. I kind of like that there isn't a defined thing on it, but there is something there, and she finds
Yeah.
that accidentally just by
Yeah.
not looking for him. She finds someone who probably is more at her speed. Vanya is
Right.
incredibly immature. Igor, and so is Anora, but Igor is like probably a much better person for her.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like he's just a better dude all around.
Yeah.
Very.
So I thought that
Um.
was like taking a
Yeah.
situation that most people can relate to, and it was kind of giving a reality check in some ways. Like it's not always what you think it's going to be, and you have to keep your mind open. And it's also
Right.
just, and it doesn't answer if she's going to end up with him. She might, get out of that car and never see him again and just be herself, like
Yeah. No, it leaves it up in the air. But what an aspect that I really like about this film is that it starts out, we meet Anora. She's a stripper, right? And she meets Vanya, and then their relationship starts. And as a viewer, I almost kind of recognize that Vanya. He's like, okay, this guy seems like he's kind of full of shit.
mhm,
Like he's very childish throughout the film, even at the beginning. But once their relationship starts and Nora really starts to fall for him, and it seems like Vanya really starts to fall for Nora. You do kind of, as the viewer, you kind of get wrapped up in that relationship, and you're like, okay, yeah, maybe I was wrong about Vanya. Maybe he isn't
mhm,
this childish, rich, whatever guy. And I like how not only for Nora is that kind of the rug pulled from underneath her, but also for the viewer, because at a certain point, I was rooting for those two, and then once he left, kind of ditched out on her, I was like, okay, well, that's weird. I wonder what's up with that. And then, you with Honora slowly kind of accept the fact that, okay, this guy is not a good dude. Like
mhm.
he's very clearly full of himself. And the marriage really was always just I don't know, always kind of not a very serious marriage.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
you feel that betrayal with Honora, like, especially when they're right when they're on the runway,
Mhm.
going into the plane, and Vanya's like, "Of course we're getting divorced. Are you stupid?" I'm like, "Oh damn." I felt that. I
That
was like,
was like a
"Holy shit."
point that I was like, "Oh, he's a real
Yeah.
asshole for saying
Yeah.
that."
So I really like how the film, throughout the entire film, you really just feel with Nora. You feel
Oh,
what
totally.
she's
Yeah.
feeling. So I really like that aspect of this movie and in the writing of
Mhm.
it. Um,
I
and then
also thought it didn't sorry.
no, go ahead.
Well, I also thought it didn't really like it didn't she wasn't this woman in the beginning who like was this prostitute who had never found anyone. Like it wasn't like this victim that he comes in and
No,
saves either. Like she was very happy in her life
yeah,
as it had its
seemed like she was
problems.
doing well financially, better
Yeah,
than
I
I
mean,
am. So hey, God bless.
well,
Um,
now you have a little guidance. Maybe you could follow in her footsteps a little bit.
I
No,
I don't
but
know if I have the yeah, I don't know if I can pull that quite off. Maybe though, we'll see. We'll see what happens. But no, you're right. I mean, she isn't a victim really, but it is
Yeah.
interesting now that you mentioned that. Maybe that's how Vanya almost looks at her. Like she does not look at Nora as on the same level as him, right?
Yeah, it's just a responsibility he isn't even aware of that he has to take on.
Yeah. No, for sure. And um yeah, no, I think you're right. She's not the victim. She's doing well on her own. Maybe not making the best career choices when it comes to
Hmm.
especially the prostitution part. I mean, being a stripper is completely legal and, that's what you want to do and go for it, whatever.
Yeah.
Like I said, I mean, she's doing well on her own. Seems like, she has a rocky relationship with her sister too, which isn't
Hmm.
really much explored, which is okay. But it kind of gives the impression that maybe her home life's not the greatest, or wasn't the greatest growing up, and maybe that's kind of why she ended up where she is. But there is, if you think about it, like what I said, comparing it to Cinderella, there is this aspect of Prince Charming coming out of nowhere and saving her. And I don't like using that term necessarily, um, but saving her from this life and showing her a life of luxury and whatnot. And there's a scene with all the strippers and Anora when Anora like says like, "Oh yeah, I'm quitting. I got married to this rich guy and Russian dude." And there is this aspect of like jealousy with the other strippers where they're like, "Oh,
Yeah.
I wish that could have been me." So I don't know. I found that to be an interesting aspect of the story. And it does kind of tie back into the Cinderella parallel, if you will. So,
Hmm. So, to your point earlier about kind of feeling like you want to see them work out, I
mhm,
kind of felt like I always wanted to see her work out, but with him, like he's playing video games. With like he's got her on his couch, and he's playing video games. Like his maid is cleaning up around him as he's glued to a TV, spending money. Like I there was never a point really where I felt like I wanted to see her end up with him. Like I always kind of felt like this is more of a story about her realizing who she's dealing with rather than I think they have that we made it together moment when they get married. And then it's following that like they do that leads to such a catastrophic ending where everything blows up because they've been allowed to believe that this is just something that's meant to be and
that
that
it's like a legitimate marriage. Yeah,
yeah, and I guess I
even
I
though
just
legally it
always
is.
yeah, I mean I just always felt like he was so childish and and then when he leaves her, it's just like, all right, no, you can't support that. You know,
Right.
you can't. There's no
Yeah.
way you could see that as good.
No, for sure. I mean, by the end, it's like, okay, yeah, no, clearly
But
he's
I get what
not
you're saying, though. I get what you're
Mr.
saying.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that it makes sense that what you're saying that that he was just playing video games and just living like a prince. It makes sense why that in that moment in the story why that didn't necessarily set off like red flags for Honora. She was kind of still buying the whole facade that he was trying to. I don't even know if he was really trying to put off any sort of facade. Like he was, other than just being a rich guy and with
Yeah.
wealthy parents and whatnot.
I mean, he's
But
not like beating her. He's not like this horrible person.
right,
He's just like a very unaware person.
yeah, um, yeah, and he's very childish too. I mean, I think in the film he's like 21, and I mean he acts like he's like 15.
Yeah, he
You
looks
know,
like he's 13.
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it is. Yeah, I do get what you're saying, but I think in the film, in the context of that scene in particular, I think it makes sense why that's not really setting off any alarms for Nora. And like I
Mhm.
said, even for the viewer, it's still like when I was watching that scene, it wasn't really setting off alarms for me either. I was like, okay, yeah, whatever, you know.
Mhm.
Um, and I still at that point wanted them to work out and for it to be a legit marriage. And I don't know. I think through this film, you're really living through Nora the entire time. You're seeing the events play out through Nora. Um, and I think ultimately it really works like that.
Yeah. No, definitely. I mean, maybe my problem was that I kind of knew going in that I heard about the movie, because it came out in
Mhm.
October, and the plot was kind of given away over the course of.
Oh, gotcha.
Kind of knew that it wasn't going to work. I knew that he was going to end up being this like really entitled prick, and
Yeah.
I knew
Okay.
that there was
So
another guy who was involved in this movie somehow, and he was getting a lot of buzz, and that was the Igor character.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, I didn't know any of that. So I guess
Oh,
that
okay.
that
So
makes
you went
sense
in
why.
blind. Yeah, which is
Pretty much,
probably
I knew
better.
like I knew it was a love story kind of,
Yeah.
and I've seen like parts of the trailer, but that was it. So I knew kind of like the general story.
Hmm.
Nothing, that was revealed later on. I knew though. I just knew that she was a stripper. They got married, and now seems like someone's not happy about the marriage.
Yeah.
Um, and that's really all I knew, other than the reviews were so good about the film. So
I'm not
it I
sure
guess
if I
it
would have.
does make sense.
I'm not sure if I
Go
would
ahead.
have given it. I know it won like the big prize at the Cannes Film Festival,
Oh,
and
did
I
I didn't know that.
I don't know if I would have given it that. However, I do think like Mikey Madison was definitely like I wouldn't be unhappy if she won an Oscar. Um,
No, I think she's very deserving of the Oscar.
I think it's
Um,
to go into that with. I mean, there's never a point when you don't like she's so as an actress, she's pretty confident at like I think she's 23, like to be doing that.
yeah,
That's
no,
not
I mean
easy.
she goes for it, in
Yeah.
all aspects of the character. And there's never a moment where the acting's off or anything like that, where it kind of takes me out. Like the acting across the board is amazing, in my
Yeah.
opinion. But especially with Nora and Mikey Madison, that's the
Mhm.
actress's name.
Yeah.
She's just phenomenal in this film, and I do hope she wins the Oscar. I don't know if she will.
I think
Um,
Demi Moore might have a chance with The Substance.
that's a film we'll have to watch, and we stick to our
Oh,
Oscar viewing.
yeah.
And I don't
Body
really
horror.
want to watch that
I
film,
don't want to watch it either.
so
Like
maybe we'll skip over that one.
maybe
Or
we'll take a substance watching
you
it
want it? You want to try that out?
on yeah, no, that'd be interesting. I watched The Substance on Guess the Substance, that'll be the title of the episode. But
Okay, yeah,
yeah.
maybe,
No,
maybe we'll see.
no,
We'll
I thought
brain
yeah.
we'll brainstorm it. Um,
No, I really did think she was Mikey Madison was great though. I mean, like, but like honestly, I could, there's that second act where it's them looking for Vanya,
Vanya.
and that is like some of the most engaging just dialogue scenes between Igor, her, and the two other Toros, was that his name? The guy who's like
Um,
it was Toros, I think.
I think you started with an S.
Oh, okay. Well, what it's
Maybe it was
those four
Toros.
like those four people looking for him, I
Yeah.
just thought was like so engaging. They kind of, like the guy who is looking for Vanya, he yells at Nora and says like, this is a sham marriage. But then he kind of like says like, we're gonna give you some money, and it's just like no one is being a total asshole and no one's being that great of a person either. So it's really just people interacting. It's like they approach a point and they say one thing or the other, and then they approach the next point and they say one thing or another. And it's not like a constructed thing, to write some great, like probably not very natural character arc. it's just
Sure.
people reacting to the situations they're in, and they're all under so much pressure that it's creating this just really authentic interactions between people.
Yeah.
It's messy, it's like it's not like some I hate when films make human conversations as if they have one meaning, or it's supposed to work out a certain way. It's like conversations are just, at the end of the day, it's two people talking, and it can be as messy as that will allow,
Sure.
you know?
Yeah, no, I think that the dialogue and the conversations in this film do feel very authentic throughout it. And I really think I noticed how authentic and how real the dialogue was toward the end of the movie when Anora and Igor are sitting on the couch and they're like
I love
smoking a
that scene.
cigarette and they're just talking. And I'm like, oh wow, this feels very authentic.
Totally. That
And
was like
that
one
for
of the best
me,
scenes.
that's like a standout scene for me, you know.
Yeah.
And
No, I
that's when I
agree.
really kind of noticed how good the dialogue was and just the acting in general as well. Um, where it does feel very real and very human. So, yeah, I do 100% agree with you there. And I will say also, too, this movie is quite funny at times. Going into it, I was worried it was going to get kind of
I
intense.
know. I was
And
so hesitant.
yeah, and there are
Same.
kind of more intense scenes, but even the intense scenes, someone's kind of there's something to laugh at almost or find humorous even in that scene. Um,
Yeah.
maybe there's like a few that aren't funny or don't have like comedic elements to it whatsoever. But for the most part, there is comedy and kind of funny one-liners sprinkled throughout, especially Anora. I mean, she is pretty
Yeah,
funny a lot of the times.
she's got a sense of humor. No, I
Yeah,
agree with you
yeah,
entirely. I was fully expecting, like most times when a movie's about a sex worker, it usually means that you're gonna have to watch some pretty uncomfortable things.
right.
Just because it's not usually something that's put in movies. But to see
Sure.
it
Yeah.
really be, I mean, it's an enjoyable film. Like it's not a
Yeah.
film that it's not like Schindler's List where you're
No, no.
watching it and it's an amazing movie, but it's not like an easy watch. And
It's
not that
not a heavy film.
Enora is
Yeah,
not an easy watch either, but it is enjoyable, and like I was watching it and I was just enjoying it. I wasn't feeling like it was going too far or that I was too uncomfortable. It just felt like a really well written human movie.
yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. And like I said, it's not like a heavy film whatsoever. I wouldn't
Yeah.
say. Um, but yeah, going into it, I was worried that maybe the parents were like, the Russian mob or something like that, where Nora's really put into some sort of danger. And when the three Russian dudes show up, you are kind of wondering, like, oh shit, is she in danger? And ultimately,
Yeah.
she's really not. Um, But, I was worried going in that, like, oh, Nora's gonna end up dead or something, um,
Yeah.
which spoilers is not the case. She makes it out of this film only really emotionally scarred, if anything, which I
Just
guess
two little
is
scratches right on the face.
2 little
But
scratches as well. Yeah. So
no, I also really loved I what I really love about Igor and Nora's relationship is how it starts off in maybe the worst way possible. Like, he's just trying to keep her with that from well, he's holding her, which is not something you should be doing. But, he's just trying to handle the situation the way he can.
right.
And she spends the rest of the movie calling him like a rapist, and this implying that he was going to do all this stuff. And I thought that I just and then they just naturally connect. And I thought
Yeah.
that's really that is a good way of showing that first impressions are really not like this thing that defines a relationship. It's really about experience, and they have this experience, and they come
Yeah, they
out
do have
with
some
the
shared
relatability.
memories.
Yeah.
for
I
sure.
mean,
It does
when he defends her at the end and says that Vanya should apologize, like, I mean, I was like, "Fuck yeah, Igor!" Like, you know,
for sure.
go for it. You know.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's interesting because Nora really is quite mean to Igor throughout the film, which is somewhat deserved, especially when they first get introduced with the scene you were, talking about with him, not, trying to just keep her in the house or whatever, and um, so it does make sense why she's so hesitant and whatnot. But she does, even like in the couch scene that I was talking about, she's like very reserved still,
Hmm.
which makes complete sense for that character and what she just went through, with Vanya, I mean, and whatnot. So it makes complete sense why she is so kind of emotionally reserved at that moment.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, yeah, it is. Like I said, it is a funny moments though, with even with Anora kind of calling him names and whatnot. That's kind of played to humorous effect, but the conversation quickly kind of turns more serious,
Hmm.
uh, which I thought was great and whatnot.
Yeah.
So
No.
yeah, let's
Yeah.
see. Let me see what other notes I have.
We could talk about the Oscar nominations too,
We
if
could. Another thing too that I didn't like. This is kind of my only maybe gripe with the film. It does feel a little bit like a slow burn.
yeah.
Um, Especially at the beginning for me, it felt a little like a slow burn, and then once the 3 kind of Russian guys are introduced and they're all trying to find Vanya, that's when the film really picks up for me, and I think that's like almost at that like halfway point, I wanna say, something like that, and at that point, you definitely did kind of feel that length, for myself at least, where, it does feel more slow, um,
Hmm.
and I think
Yeah. The
the
first
reason
act
why.
is a setup.
Kinda, yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Um, but, there is quite a bit that happens in the first act with Vanya and Anora, right? But a lot of the times they're just living their lives almost together, it is exciting to watch in some regard, but it definitely comes off more as a slow burn for me. So I don't know if you felt that too or not.
Yeah. No, I get that.
So
I
that
guess
that was
I
kinda my only
certainly
gripe with the
felt
film.
that once the Russians come in, okay. Yeah, I certainly felt like when the Russians come in, that's when the movie really takes off.
I agree,
You know,
for
that's what.
sure.
So I do agree with you on that. I don't think I found it slow as much, and I think part of it is like you need to set this up, but at the same time, maybe it didn't have to be as long as it was. You know, it could have been a little shorter.
I think
But
they
I
could have
mean,
trimmed it down a little bit for sure.
ride by the end of the movie, which is kind of, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of like it's all.
Uh-oh. Did we lose you? I think we lost Aiden. Let's see. All right. Well, let's wait for him to come back. And okay. Yeah, you broke up there, but I think
Oh,
you're
okay.
back now.
Yeah, I guess I felt a little bit like I totally forgot what I was saying. Never mind.
Well, to kind of add to that, you do definitely feel like you just went on this journey with Anora, and this emotional roller coaster with Anora. And by the end of it, you do, in some regard, feel a little exhausted like her. But I think
Yeah,
that's
that's
I think
that's
that's
very good point.
um I think that works in the film's favor, and that kind of goes back to my point of you feel you not only feel for Nora, but you also kind of feel her emotions as well throughout this film. So
Yeah.
I think that just the film succeeds on that front for sure.
Mhm.
So we talked about Igor a little bit. Let's see.
I also liked how there weren't really more characters than there needed to be. I think all his movies are kind of like that. Um where it's very much like only the characters you require. But I kind of like that too. It wasn't this abundance of people where it's hard to, you didn't need all these characters. It's really like five people in the center of the movie and two who come in at the end being the parents. But
Right.
yeah, I mean, so that was another aspect I appreciated from the film.
Yeah. No, for sure. I would agree there. And it's interesting too because Vanya, he's in it at the beginning, but then he disappears for the entire like second act for the most part,
Yeah.
and then he pops back up.
Yeah.
So he is missing for a good chunk of the film. Um, so yeah, I don't know. Overall, I did enjoy it a lot. Um, I would give it an 8 out of 10 for sure. I think I'm excited to see what I'm
Yeah, I
drawing a
would
blank on
too.
the actress's name, Mikey Madison. What she does in the future, I think she's got a
Yeah.
lot of.
No, I'm
She clearly has the chops for acting, and I do hope she wins the nomination. Although I haven't seen really any other Oscar nominee films yet, so maybe that will change. But I kind of doubt it. If I'm being honest, I really enjoyed her acting in this film. I think she just did a
yeah.
fantastic job. So yeah, I would give
Yeah,
it
the
an
only
eight.
reason
I mean, 8.5 really out of 10.
Yeah, I hope she wins. I feel like she's not going to just because they don't like to give it to young people, even if it's
Yeah.
deserved. But
No, that's
we'll
true.
see.
Yeah, no, we'll see what happens.
I have seen a couple of the other Oscar nominees, a good amount of them actually, because this year has actually been a pretty great year for movies in my opinion. Like, of course, you have like Craven the Hunter and shit like that, but on the other side of the spectrum, there is like a lot of really interesting and unique films. I mean, yeah, a Conclave. That's a really
I
fantastic
do want to
movie.
watch that. That's up for
Conclave is
Best
great.
Picture, so we'll watch that and talk about that. Um, well, yeah, why don't we talk about some of the Oscar nominations here for the next couple minutes?
Sure, yeah.
Because I really don't have anything else to say about Anora. If anyone is watching who has not seen the film, I would definitely encourage you to see it. I thought it was great.
Yeah, definitely you should.
Oh shoot, I did not want to do that.
Do you know what
Yeah,
got snubbed in director, which is crazy?
I'm sorry. What was that?
The guy who directed Dune, Denis Villeneuve, he got
Yeah.
completely snubbed when it came to director.
Oh, geez.
Like Dune 2, not getting a director nomination for Dune Part 2 is crazy. That's crazy. That's
That is a little
unjust.
nutty. Yeah.
But
Okay.
like Amelia Perez, which apparently is disrespectful to Mexican culture, disrespectful to transgender issues. Like it totally mishandles this. It's this movie that's trying to tackle like three major issues, but at the same time, it's offending all three. So to see that get all these Oscar nominations was a little bit like, well, you're gonna have that every year, but really, like,
Yeah. Yeah. I well, I don't know. We'll watch that one.
but I haven't seen it, so
Um.
I should see it.
Okay. So some of the nominees. We'll just kind of go over some of the bigger categories here. Best Picture. First up, Amelia Perez. Then we got A Complete Unknown.
Good movie.
Conclave. Nickel Boys. Have not heard of this one.
I heard that was
Uh,
fantastic.
let's see. What is it about? shattered when he's sentenced to Nickel Academy, a brutal reformatory in the Jim Crow South. Okay, seems
But the
interesting.
film, that film is shot from the perspective of the characters. So it's about two boys, but the cameras are them. So
Okay,
they're like
interesting.
you see the other boy talking to you because you're watching from the audience
Right,
perspective. Yeah,
interesting. So it's always someone's POV.
exactly.
That's interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, next film, I'm Still Here.
I've heard about
Which I've
that.
not. What's that?
I've heard about that. That's like an international film, I think. From
Okay, yeah, it
Brazil.
looks like it's
Brazil.
on. Looks like it's on Apple TV.
Okay.
So it looks like follows a mother of 5 children, and she's forced to reinvent herself after her family suffers a violent and arbitrary act by the government. Okay, interesting.
Hmm.
Next, we have The Substance, which I'm not looking forward to watching. If we decide to watch that, we may skip out on that one. I really don't know if I want to watch that one.
Body
Next, we have Dune.
horror for me is just
Same here. I can't do it.
can't do it.
I do like some horror films, but body horrors, that's tough for me a lot of the times. And it,
Yeah.
like gore, I have a hard time with it
Yeah,
sometimes.
no.
Dune Part 2 is the next Best Picture nominee.
I
And I have
mean,
not seen it. Not seen Dune Part 2. So,
that's wild.
yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah. Me and you were supposed to see it a couple times, and then I think each time it just fell through the plans.
Oh my god, that's like
That was
one
like
of the
last
best
year around this time.
one of the best sci-fi films, easily one of the best sequels. Probably the best
Wow.
sequel of this decade so far.
It's better than the Joker too.
Well, no, I mean that's a masterclass in acting
Did you ever
and
watch that Joker too?
no, no. I
Me
wasn't a
neither.
fan of the first Joker.
I enjoyed the first one. I thought it
I
was pretty
thought it
good.
was I thought it was a
I liked
Scorsese
Joaquin's
ripoff.
performance. I liked the Joker. You know, I'm a big Batman guy,
Yeah.
obviously.
No, I wanted to like it,
So
but
what's that?
I wanted to like Joker. I guess I just felt like it was a Scorsese ripoff,
It was.
you
It
know.
was, but
But
I still
it
enjoyed it.
ripoff to someone else's inspiration. So
Well, yeah, I mean,
yeah,
you look at a lot of films, you know, there's always a lot of famous films always pull from other famous
yeah.
works, you know. I mean, I think there's like this saying that there's only like 5 real original ideas and the rest are just kind of rip-offs. I don't
It
know if
was just
that's true.
like De Niro being there, like, all right, king of comedy, you know.
Yeah,
It was
no,
a
for
little
sure.
Taxi
For sure.
Driver, but yeah.
Um
But Dune
next
2 is incredible.
Dune 2, okay. Well, we
Yeah.
will watch that. Next up Wicked.
I did see Wicked because my
I think we
friend
were saying that last time too.
he gave me a free
Yeah.
ticket. Um
You got a free ticket?
certainly does not deserve the amount of nominations. I think the only person who should be getting a nomination is Cynthia Erivo, who is very good. Ariana
Ooh,
Grande should not. The woman who plays the Wicked Witch of the West.
okay,
Um,
Alphaba.
yeah, Alphabet. That's her name. Um, I don't think Ariana Grande should have gotten an Oscar. I thought she was good. She captures that like Kansas vibe, but it was a little bit like there's nothing really. I wouldn't give it to any. I mean, I don't know. It was
Okay.
fine.
All right.
It was fine.
Got it. Next up we
Yeah.
have Anora. And then we got The Brutalist.
That I want to see.
I think that one's still in theaters. Usually a lot of these will come out on streaming before the Oscars because they want people to watch it, you know.
Yeah.
So it will be interesting to see which ones. I'm sure all these will be out before on streaming before.
The
Okay, best.
Brutalist has like an intermission apparently.
Oh, really? It's that long of a film?
It's a 3.5 hour movie with like I don't know if the intermission is applied if you watch it at home. It might just be re-edited to skip it. But if you
Right.
go to a theater to watch it, there will be a 15-minute intermission where you can like get up and get food.
Wow.
But it's supposed to be excellent.
That's a lot. I don't know.
Yeah.
We got to watch it though for the show. Anyhow,
Yeah.
best actress category we have Fernanda Torres for I'm Still Here.
Yeah. I heard she was good.
Okay, awesome. Demi Moore for The Substance. And then we have I'm gonna butcher this, Carla Sophia Gascon
Oh, Gascon.
for
Yeah. Yeah.
Gascon for Emilia Perez. Then we have Cynthia Eve. How do you say her
Arivo.
last name? Arrivo
Yeah, she's
for
Alphaba.
Wicked, and then we got Mikey Madison for Anora. I really hope Mikey Madison wins it.
I'd give it to her.
You'd give it to her out of those. Got it.
Hearing them again, it was like, yeah, all right.
Okay,
Not much
cool.
question.
Okay, so best actor Ralph Fiennes for Conclave.
Ray Fiennes, yeah.
What is it? Ralph Fiennes.
Ray Fiennes. Yeah, he's actually Voldemort.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was. Yeah. Next we have Sebastian Stan for The Apprentice, played Donald J. Trump. In that, I have not seen that film. I am kind of interested in watching that though.
I would watch
that.
it.
Yeah, I'd watch it too. Then we got Timothée Chalamet. How do you say his last name?
Chalamet.
What is it?
Chalamet.
Timothée Chalamet.
Yeah. Yeah.
For playing Bob Dylan in A Complete Unknown. Have you seen that one? You did.
I did. He's very good. He's very good.
Got it. Then we have Coleman Domingo for Sing Sing. And then we have Adrian Brody for The Brutalist.
I haven't seen that.
You haven't seen Sing Sing?
I think I haven't seen Sing Sing. My friend saw Sing Sing and she said it was excellent. I'm sure Adrian Brody is gonna win, but I think it should go to Ray Fiennes.
All right.
Because he doesn't have an Oscar and he should have one. But yeah.
And then let's see, best director, Coralie Fargate, Substance.
Yeah, it's like some French name. Like I can't pronounce it.
Then we have James Mangold for A Complete Unknown, Sean Baker for Nora, Jacquez Audar for Amelia Perez, Brady Corbett for The Brutalist.
Yeah, then, he's probably gonna win.
Best original screenplay. We have A Real Pain, Jesse Eisenberg. I do want to watch that one. The Substance. Yeah, I really want to watch that. Where's that? Is that streaming somewhere?
Hulu, I think.
Okay, I'll have to try to check that out. Then we have The Substance, Coralie Fargage.
Mm-hmm.
September 5th. Never even heard of that movie. Okay. Oh shoot, I lost my place here. Hold on. Okay. Then we have Anora by Sean Baker, and then The Brutalist by Brady Corbett and Mona Fastfold. So that's what we got. There are other categories, but those are kind of the major ones. I guess best cinematography too. You got Dune Part 2 or Nosferatu, The Brutalist, Maria, Emily Perez. I don't know. What do you think?
I think Dune too. I don't think you can look at those shots. I mean, you haven't seen it, but once you do, like, you are going to be blown away just on a cinematic front. It's a beautiful. There's a whole scene that's shot in infrared apparently. So the contrast between light and dark is really stark. So yeah,
that's cool. Yeah, I mean, from the trailers, I haven't seen any of these films. From the trailers, I would either go Nosferatu or Dune for sure.
Brutalist, I wouldn't mind seeing win, but yeah, Nosferatu is pretty beautiful. But
yeah, so those are some of the major categories, I'd say. And we'll revisit that list on our show, the show before the Oscars. Let me see what the date is. It'd be February 27th. That's a Thursday. That would be the show before the Oscars. So we'll revisit all these and kind of give our final opinions once we watch more of these films. And we will decide on, we'll talk after the show about the schedule and what movies we want to place where.
Okay.
That way, we know what to watch and what we're going to talk about. But yeah, that would be fun to talk about some of the Oscar nominees and watch some of those films, because usually I don't watch many of them. I used to, but then I kind of fell off, and
Yeah.
but I do want to watch more movies overall, to be honest. I don't watch enough movies, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
I watch too much YouTube. YouTube sucks up so much of my time. That's like my go-to entertainment now. Can you believe that?
I'm in the same
Yeah.
boat in some ways. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
just like it's so much less, like you just have to commit to so much less by doing so.
For sure. That's the thing.
But yeah.
Even though, I don't know. Anyhow.
It's just a relaxing thing to do, is watch YouTube.
Yeah. Yeah, no, but, for sure. Yeah, so Anora, go watch it if you haven't watched it. Thought it was great. Highly recommend it. A lot of emotion in that film overall, for sure.
Natural emotion too. Like
never feels very forced. Natural.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't feel forced at all. And yeah, you'll fall in love with some of those characters. I would say mostly Anora and Igor, but also Toros. I think maybe that was his name. Maybe you're right. Maybe it was Toros.
Yeah, even that guy, I was like, I really understood where he was coming from.
Yeah, and you kind of felt for him too. You're like, this guy's just trying to do his job. He's got to babysit this freaking teen brat, pretty much.
Yeah.
So you did kind of feel for him.
And you felt for the guy. You felt for the other guy. The guy who gets his nose
the
broken.
One he got put through the ringer. I mean, a lot of the characters did, but I feel like him especially. He was down on his luck a little bit. He was
like
there.
In the car, like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, and then he throws up and is like, oh gosh.
Yeah, I was like,
and then he's
damn, I don't know how they did this.
Yeah. And then on the plane, I think he's like high on painkillers, and he has an embarrassing moment with the parents. He's trying to like impress. It's like, oh geez, poor guy. So
like, this is not his day.
Not his day. Yeah. But yeah, well, why don't we? Do we want to decide right now what we want to watch for next week?
Yeah, let's do it.
Why don't we just do one movie and then the rest we'll do a double feature? Because
okay.
Let me make sure that's right. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 10 films. See, that'd be right. So we have 5. No. Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have 5 shows before the Oscars. But our last show is going to be about the predictions. So we have 9 movies to watch. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
We got a big I really do. I mean, some of these you've seen. But for next week, okay, why don't we skip the substance? That way each week we can just do 2.
Okay. Yeah.
And let me pull up the list.
And what we should do is probably like leave A Complete Unknown and The Brutalist until the last couple weeks, because those are still in theaters.
Yeah.
And
no,
like
I was
Conclave, I think Conclave is on streaming by now. And might be Peacock.
Yeah, it looks like it's Peacock. Yeah, so why
Okay.
don't we do okay, why don't we do next week like our least favorite? The ones we're least looking forward to.
Okay.
So I think Emily Perez, I'm not looking too forward to that, watching that.
Yeah, I
And
guess I'll sit
then
through it.
maybe like I'm Still Here.
Okay.
Well, I don't know
Yeah.
because those are let's do no, let's pair it with a more exciting film. That way it's more marketable.
Okay.
Let's do like Wicked or something. That
Okay.
way we kind of have one that we're not looking forward to. And although we're really not looking forward to Wicked, or I'm not, it is still a more popular, well-known film, let's be honest. More of a blockbuster.
Hmm.
Okay, so we'll do that for next week.
Yeah.
And then the week after, why don't we do Conclave and then I'm Still Here? How about?
Okay. That's for the week after next.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then okay, so we got Dune Part 2, The Brutalist.
Well, let's
Let's do
definitely
the
do Dune 2
yeah.
and maybe a Complete
Well,
Unknown that might be out of theaters by then. And then last week could be Brutalist and what else is left?
Nickel Boys. So
Okay. Yeah.
why don't we wait till we'll do a Complete Unknown and Brutalist last because
Okay.
that way we guarantee that hopefully those are out of theaters
Hmm.
and we won't have to leave the house to go watch it.
Yeah.
At least for me. So we'll do Amelia Perez, Wicked next week, Conclave, I'm Still Here the week after, Dune 2, and Nickel Boys the week after, and then Brutalist and Complete Unknown. And let me see where that will lead us. So 23rd for Bob. And then okay, and then we have one more show after that before the Oscars. And that can just be our Oscar predictions where we can
Okay.
talk about everything that we watch as a whole
Hmm.
from there. How's that sound? I'll
Perfect.
update the schedule I sent you too. I don't know if you looked at that
Okay.
and have that on there. And then after the Oscars, after that week, then we can just go back to one movie a week. How
Okay.
about?
Yeah, that sounds
Cool.
good.
Cool. All right. I think that's going to do it for today's show. I don't really have anything else to add. Aiden, anything else to add?
No, I think we kind of covered everything.
Cool. All right. Thank you everyone for watching, and we will see you next Thursday.
Yeah, thank you guys.